Hey right guys, Church Munch's Joe here, and today we are talking about the films that I watched in June 2018. Again, the first half of this month was a lot of me just kind of moving in and sorting everything out, as well as like the last week of May. I had to figure out what's before June. So I didn't watch much for the first couple of weeks, because then after that as well, I was doing a lot of catch up with TV shows for YouTube. But I think I've watched eight. Most of those were in the second half of the month. Like after I'd got past that initial, doing all the videos, then I got straight back into films, which is nice. So, and then I've already watched a couple this month, and it's the third. So, yeah, we'll try and get back to. I'm going to try and get back to over 10 a month kind of thing. But we got eight for this month. How many of them were rewatchers? One, two, three of them were rewatchers, and the rest were first time viewing. I'd say overall that apart from the two rewatches I obviously adore, which you know which ones it'll probably be, there was only one really fantastic film that I watched. Technically three because the two rewatches are like amazing, but the first one that I watched early in the month with Liam, which you might have seen on my Instagram, was The Shallows with Blake Lively. We were kind of just sat around doing nothing because we didn't have internet, so we were just like, oh, we'll watch a film. And we saw that one. That in the mood for a shitty shark film, and it was kind of bad, but entertaining as well. Is Blake Lively swimming around on a rock while a shark hunts her down, and it's like a short. I don't think it's even an hour and a half. I think it's like an hour and 25 minutes or something of that, and I was entertained for it. Problem with these kind of films is I never really care about any of the characters. There's no side characters to care about. The story technically isn't that good. You just sat there for 90 minutes of entertainment, and that was so. I can't really have too many complaints about it and drag it too much. But the shark looked cool. There's a couple of funny deaths in there, which really me and Liam were laughing for ages. And the seagull in that the seagull was the best character. I'm not gonna lie, that the seagull was sick. We both ended up giving that one a 6 out of 10. Like I said, could drag it a lot more if it was like 2 hours or whatever. But it's a short film and it was 90 minutes, so what are you going to expect at the end of the day? And I think because we went in knowing it was kind of going to be like popcorn film. Um, then I had the two rewatches. We had a load of people. This was actually like a week and a half later, so I didn't watch a film for ages. But then we had a load of people over for like we did like a Lord of the Rings kind of night. Watched the extended editions to both Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers, and we're watching Return of the King in a week, I think. But we were up till like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and then they all had to go home. So you know how I feel about Lord of the Rings. I've already actually watched Fellowship of the Ring and spoke about it in I don't know which month it was. I want to say like March maybe, because I went to see that at the cinema. But both extended editions, two of my favorite films of all time. Fellowship's actually my second favorite film of all time, and then Two Towers is my third favorite film of all time. Take a while to guess of what my favorite film of all time is. Um, and yeah, what else can I say about them? They're just flawless, but they're not flawless. I still actually have flaws with, especially more so with Two Towers extended edition. But they're both still 10 out of 10 films for me. I just I think they'll always will be as well. Because I've grown up with them, I've got that nostalgia factor to them. I just can't ever see myself not having them as my favorite films of all time. So yeah, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, fantastic. Then I watched two comedies. One I heard was really bad, and I really liked it, and then one I heard was really good, and I didn't like it, so that was weird. But the first one is Blockers or Cock Blocks, I think it's meant to be called, with John Cena. I really enjoyed. I thought this was funny. Like I was surprised by this one, and John Cena just was fantastic. John Cena made the film, to be fair. But I don't know. The jokes were solid. The film wasn't too long, and I kind of went in thinking it's gonna be like one of those Seth Rogen typey films, which is just cringy humor. But and there's a couple of cringy humor stuff in there, but I don't know. I just liked the characters; they were funny. The three teenage girls were fun as well. Like their story was also entertaining. So yeah, it's about those three. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's the three parents. They basically figure out that their three daughters who are going off onto prom night are going to try and get laid, and it's these three parents basically trying to stop that from happening. That's what it is at its core, but it's actually pretty funny. I enjoyed it. And the other comedy that I watched that I didn't enjoy that a lot of people said was really funny was Game Night. Well, how do you explain this film? It's so weird. Like they have a game night every week or something, like playing board games. This couple does. They have all their friends around, and then eventually his brother comes back from wherever he's been traveling to, and says, "Oh, you want the ultimate game night? Come to my house on this night." And they all go, and then it's like a proper mystery, and they all think it's a game, but it might not actually be a game. It might be real, and then shit goes down. I just didn't. I don't know. None of the jokes were that funny to me. I didn't care much. I just thought the story was a bit of a mess. I don't know. Something about this film just really didn't click with me. And it's annoying because a lot of people said this was really funny, and I just something about it. I just didn't find it that funny. I gave Blockers or Cult Blockers an 8 out of 10 for a comedy. 7 out of 10 for a film, but I'd say eight out of 10 for a comedy because I was actually laughing throughout the whole thing. I think it was great. And then Game Night, I ended up giving a 4 out of 10. I just, or technically a 4.5 out of 10. But I don't know, it wasn't funny to me. It was fine, but it's just, I think 'cause in my head, everyone was saying it's like the best comedy of 2018 so far. And to me, it just wasn't. It wasn't that good. But then a couple of days later, I watched Truth or Dare. Now, this film was hilarious, unintentionally hilarious. What was it? This has Lucy Hale in, Tyler Posey, and they're the only two people that I know, so I'll stop there. But it's just a teenage, like, kind of horror film. It wasn't scary. They play a game of Truth or Dare at this weird abandoned place in Mexico, I want to say. And then they get hit by a curse, and the curse is basically whenever you're asked the question Truth or Dare, if you don't answer the truth or don't do the dare that you're told to do, you will die. That's basically the film. But some of the dares are like, one of them's like break this person's hand with a hammer. So it's a lot of like, weird stuff that they have to do, and some of them kind of turn it down to like, nope. But dude, this was so funny. I'd say watch this film, but be prepared that it is so bad. But it's just like one of those that is so bad that it's good kind of films. I loved it. I still gave it a 4 out of 10 at the end of it, but it was a bad film. But it was a 4. It would have been a lot lower, but I just had so much fun with it that I had to give it a 4 out of 10. It's so good. Some of the deaths in this, and then the weird smile thing that they do in the film, iconic. It was so good, and I hope they do a second film to this because the ending to this film was hilarious. So I hope they do a second one. That'd be great. And I hope if they do a second as well, they just go all out with it and just make it balls off the wall, insane. That'd be great. So yeah, Truth or Dare. I would actually recommend that one just if you want to kind of trashy film. So Truth or Dare. Then I watched Iron Man. This was my third rewatch, but I hadn't watched this film since it was released actually, so 10 years ago. This is one that I did a reaction to as well, and I enjoyed it. It was a good film. I'm not the biggest fan of Marvel anyway, but I think as terms of like some of the worst Marvel films, this is like more in the middle for me. Whereas not one of their better ones, but it's a good one as well. Robert Downey Jr. does a great job as Iron Man, and it's an enjoyable film. Has some good little action sequences in there, and I think for like the first film that started off the massive franchise of Marvel anyway. Well, I know there were films before, but the MCU at least. It was a good start to it. It's kind of like a slow burner for most of the film. Like he doesn't even get the suit until like just over an hour into the film, which I completely forgot about. So yeah, it's a good Marvel film. Not one of their best, but not one of their worst either. And then finally, I watched Hereditary. Dude, this film, I loved it, and I know so many people hated this film, and it's one of those I can look at and completely understand why people. I said the same. I went to see it with my sister, and I said the same to her. But it's like I can completely understand why people wouldn't like this film. Don't go into it. I know it's kind of been advertised as a horror and like the scariest film you're ever gonna see. Don't go into it thinking that it's not. scary in the sense of like insidious jump scares and all your typical horror cliches. It's not scary in that sense. I think this is scary because more so with how I feel with Eden Lake isn't a good example. It just feels so real. Like I know it's supernatural and it's paranormal and all that stuff. So it's not obviously like real and stuff, at least in my opinion. But it feels like something that could actually happen. Like there's scenes in this that are like, oh, that could actually happen. Whereas Insidious, you're watching it and you're not like, oh, that could happen to me tonight. Like no, but there's some stuff you're just like, oh, dude, and it just I don't know. It's just like such a different horror that I've seen a few like this before. A lot of people compare it to like Babadook. I'd say more so like Mother, which was one of those that was very weird, a slow build up, but then the ending really kind of paid off. You know, again, a lot of people have problems with the ending, which again I can understand. But there's just some scenes in this that just blow my mind, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. I saw it about a week and a half ago now, and I just haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Always on my mind. I want to see it again, but I'll probably wait till it's out. But I do want to see it again. The acting from everyone was fantastic. I can't even think of how to describe what the film's about. Let's see if they have a synopsis that I could actually read off for you, because I don't want to give anything away. After their reclusive grandmother passes away, the Graham family begins to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry. The more they discover, the more they find themselves trying to outrun the sinister fate they seem to have inherited. I guess that's a good enough synopsis. Yeah, I adored the film and I want to see it again right now. I ended up giving this one a 9.2 out of 10. Not a perfect film, but and again, it's a lot. It's a lot of. Oh, I can see why people wouldn't like that scene. I can see why people wouldn't like this. Even the type of acting, I can understand why people would be turned off by the acting. I can understand why people would find it scary. I find it scary for a different sense of why you find it typically find a horror film typically scary. But yeah, this film messed me up. I loved it. I adored it. So the films that I'd recommend, that's all I watched this month. I know it's not too many, but the films I would recommend, the two Lord of the Rings films, obviously, but they're rewatches, and I feel like a lot of people have watched those already. If you like comedies and you're into that stuff, I would say Blockers. It's not for everyone, but I personally found it really funny. I enjoyed that one for sure. Truth or Dare, I'd recommend in the sense that if you want such a bad film that is so good and so funny, so entertaining, I'd recommend Truth or Dare for that sense. But it's not a good film. The best film I watched this month, though, without doubt, minus the two Lord of the Rings films, was Hereditary. Again, though, if you do watch it, go in like don't read anything about it. Just go in blind, and be warned that it might not be for you. Like I'd say that's the only thing, is it has been advertised as this like the scariest horror you're ever gonna see. I'd say that's kind of false advertising. I don't know. I wouldn't say it in that sense. I think that's kind of a bad sentence to kind of promote this film as. I wouldn't say it's a horror at the end of the day, but it's a different kind of horror. It's hard. It's really hard to explain Hereditary. So I'd recommend Hereditary if you're open to it. Truth or Dare, just for a bad film. Cock Blockers, because it was actually funny. I find it funny. And then obviously the Lord of the Rings films, but everyone's seen Lord of the Rings. So yeah, they're the 8 films I watched. I think it was a good month. I'd say Hereditary kind of saved it at the end there for me, because there was a lot of bad films. Like Shallows was like fine. It wasn't anything great. Game Night to me was bad. Truth or Dare was bad. Iron Man was fine. And then Hereditary came in at the end with a 9 out of 10. And I loved it. So yeah, they're the films I watched in June. Not too many this month, but I'm going to try and get back onto watching more for July. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for watching, guys. Let me know what films you watched in June down below in the comments. I hope you guys are still enjoying these. And yeah, I'll see you next month for the films I watched in July. Until then, peace.